I can remember one Christmas Eve when I was about 4 years old, seeing a space movie on TV. I saw flying titles, then a giant spaceship. It was there that I saw a dark, ominous figure walking down a corridor, a scary presence of the likes that I have never seen before, imagery that had the most profound effect on me. The next morning on Christmas Day, I was delighted to see that I had been given an action figure of this mysterious presence. And just like that, I was hooked. The movie was Star Wars, and this mysterious evil villain who entered my life was Darth Vader, a character who is arguably the greatest movie villain of all time. But behind the mask was a man called David Prowse, a man who brought the physical form of Darth Vader to life. Prowse wasn't evil and didn't want to rule the galaxy, but behind the terrors of Darth Vader was a kind gentleman. A gentleman who lived an amazing life with amazing stories to tell that go beyond just him playing Darth Vader. A man of many great accomplishments. We all wear masks, but today we are going to take off the mask of one of fiction's greatest characters of all time by looking into 10 things that you didn't know about David Prowse, so we can celebrate his life after his sad recent passing. So let's check it out. Number 10. Bodybuilder. David Charles Prowse was born in Bristol in southeast England in 1935, where he grew up in a housing estate. Due to his tall stature, Prowse grew interested in bodybuilding, where in 1962 he won the British Heavyweight Lifting Championship. In other words, this was one pretty tough guy. Prowse was working as a dance hall bouncer when he met his future wife, and they got married in 1963, where they would go on to have 3 children. After gaining some clout from his heavyweight lifting success, he headed to London to find work with a weightlifting company. And it was here that the success of David Prowse would grow from strength to strength. Number 9. Hammer horror star and other movie roles. David Prowse's first on-screen performance was playing Frankenstein's monster in the James Bond spoof Casino Royale, the 1967 version. Despite this, Prowse ended up working at the gym section of famous London department store Harrods. One day, a Hammer horror producer met Prowse at the store while Prowse was working. This producer felt that Prowse had the perfect physique for an upcoming Frankenstein movie that Hammer was working on. So in 1970 he was cast as Frankenstein's monster in The Horror of Frankenstein. He would go on to star in other Hammer horror movies, such as Vampire Circus, along with Frankenstein the Monster from Hell, where this time he played a different version of the Frankenstein monster. He started to get recognition and starred in other movie roles too, such as a bodybuilder in Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange, as well as the Red Herring in Terry Gilliam's Jabberwocky, and he even starred in several TV roles, where he played a giant minotaur in Doctor Who, as well as appearing in comedy shows like The Two Ronnies and The Benny Hill Show. So clearly his career as a performer was on the rise. Number 8. Becoming Darth Vader. The production of Star Wars was looking for a tall guy with a muscular physique. Prowse was known thanks to his role in the Hammer horror movies, where he was called. He met up with George Lucas in his office at 20th Century Fox, where Lucas offered him the role of either Chewbacca the Wookiee or Darth Vader. Prowse's immediate response was, "What's a Chewbacca?" Where he was told he was a furry gorilla who was one of the good guys, but he didn't want to spend 3 months in a gorilla suit. When asking what the Darth Vader part was, Lucas said he's the main villain of the movie, where Prowse said, "Say no more, I'll take it." And thus Prowse was cast as one of the most memorable villains in movie history, and a legend was born. While performing as Darth Vader, Prowse had no idea that his voice would be dubbed over. As we all know, the legendary James Earl Jones lent his voice to the role. So while filming, Prowse and probably all the other actors assumed that his own voice was the sound of Darth Vader.
Where is the danger, you intercept? What have you done with those information tapes?
And it was only once that Prowse saw Star Wars on the big screen that the reality kicked in that his voice was dubbed.
Where are those transmissions you intercepted? What have you done with those plans?
He also said that people would come over to him and ask him how they would make his voice sound like that, where he simply replied, "That wasn't my voice." Number 7. Legacy of the Green Cross Code Man. During the late 70s, David Prowse also starred in a series of commercials in the UK, promoting road safety to children, where he became the superhero known as the Green Cross Code Man, who would show up just before accidents and teach children about how to be safe near roads. The campaign happened while filming Star Wars. Prowse was given a week off from Star Wars to film the Green Cross Code commercials. In fact, the powers that be behind the Green Cross Code Man became slightly hesitant with Prowse's casting due to his association with the villainous Darth Vader. But history has proven that that wasn't an issue, as he became an icon to small children in the UK at that time.
Always use the Green Cross Code, because I won't be there when you cross the road.
He would even visit schools dressed as the Green Cross Code Man to teach classrooms in person about road safety. As a result of this, according to Prowse himself, after the Green Cross Code Man campaign, the number of fatalities involving children in road accidents had halved. So yes, in the late 70s, this guy was literally saving children's lives. And it's never too late to learn that when you cross the road, to stop, listen, and think. Number 6. He trained Christopher Reeve. Prowse had played Superman in a Max Factor commercial, and when he had heard that casting was taking place for a Superman movie, he applied for the role of the Man of Steel himself. Prowse claims that he was told, "We found our Superman," and thinking that it was him, he replied, "Thank you very much," only to be told it was a young Christopher Reeve who was to play Superman. Superman's director Richard Donner hired Prowse to build up a skinny Christopher Reeve into a muscular Superman, where Prowse would go on to train the young actor. According to Reeve, Prowse had him lifting weights, one after the other, more and more, each time adding 5 pounds. Reeve struggled, to which according to Reeve, Prowse said, "That's where we start." Captain Jack star John Barrowman also stated that David Prowse physically trained him too. Superman wasn't the only role that Prowse missed out on. He was offered the role of Conan the Barbarian before it was given to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and apparently was very nearly cast as the Bond villain Jaws. Number 5. David Prowse might be psychic. One of the greatest movie twists in the history of cinema comes in the form of the second Star Wars movie, The Empire Strikes Back, where Darth Vader revealed to Luke Skywalker that he is his father. Prowse didn't know this at the time, because he was given a script to say Obi-Wan killed your father, in order to keep the shock twist a secret. However, long before The Empire Strikes Back went into production, and before the script was even written for that matter, David Prowse did an interview in 1977 shortly after the release of the first Star Wars movie. When asked if there would be a sequel, Prowse expressed that a great idea for a sequel would be if Darth Vader would turn out to be Luke Skywalker's father during a lightsaber duel. The article was dug up from an archive by filmmaker Marcus Cabotar for his documentary I Am Your Father, where the striking discovery was made that Prowse had predicted one of the greatest movie plot twists in the history of cinema. In fact, it's so weird and baffling, producer Robert Watts said in the I Am Your Father documentary, maybe he's psychic and can see future events. I mean, yeah, that is one hell of a coincidence. He totally called it. Number 4, the George Lucas fallout. David Prowse and the Star Wars production team already had something of a rocky relationship, on the account they didn't like it when Prowse gave interviews to the press, as they felt it could compromise the plot of the Star Wars movies that they were working on. However, David Prowse's and George Lucas's working relationship had completely deteriorated during the shoot of Return of the Jedi, where a newspaper article revealed that Darth Vader will indeed die at the end of Return of the Jedi, giving away the end of Lucas's epic space saga. It was believed that Prowse leaked the information on the account of his reputation for talking to the press, and Prowse met up with Lucas and told him that he didn't leak the information, but Lucas didn't believe him. Well, according to Prowse, of course. A worker for the newspaper has since claimed that the paper got a call from someone on the set that Darth Vader would be killed, citing that it could have been someone working on the set or an extra, and that the paper then approached David Prowse and asked him if the claims were true, where he said, "I don't know, they don't tell me things." However, the decision was made by the powers that be. It must have been Prowse. Or so they thought. And thus, it was an incident that would affect Prowse for the rest of his life. Number 3. David Prowse felt hurt that he wasn't revealed in Return of the Jedi. David Prowse assumed that in the revelation scene of Anakin Skywalker in the climax of Return of the Jedi, that his face would be revealed when Luke Skywalker takes off Darth Vader's helmet. However, Prowse got a phone call from a journalist where he was informed that they got another actor to play Vader for the face reveal, and that it was taking place on another soundstage so he wouldn't know about it. And sure enough, Prowse learned that actor Sebastian Shaw was playing Anakin Skywalker. Prowse was hurt by this revelation, as he felt that had he been the face of Anakin, it would have given him the recognition for the previous 6 years of working on the film series. Producer Robert Watts insisted that Prowse wasn't informed due to his supposed history of talking to the press about the Star Wars movies. Producer Gary Kurtz also insisted that the reason why Prowse wasn't used for the scene was not out of spite, but because George Lucas felt that Darth Vader should look old, and that David Prowse just didn't look old enough. Prowse said that Return of the Jedi was his least favourite film he ever worked on, as the director of that movie, Richard Marquand, hardly spoke to him and got a stunt double to do most of Prowse's work. However, Prowse was able to perform the scene where Darth Vader lifts the Emperor over his head and throws him, convincing Marquand that he could lift the actor over his head without a harness or special effects, so at least he got to perform that pivotal scene. Number 2. Banished from Star Wars. After the events that took place during Return of the Jedi, Prowse was completely disowned by Lucasfilm. Prowse even said, "They ignore me completely," and that they don't have any contact with him whatsoever. And so, Prowse has never been part of any official Star Wars celebrations, be that conventions or appearing in any official documentaries or behind-the-scene features. It's sad, as he was a huge part of Star Wars. I mean, he was the physical form of Darth Vader. All the other cast members have been involved in official Star Wars interactions and medias in some way or another. So it really does seem that Prowse was really given the raw end of the stick and was chewed up and spat out and never got the recognition that he deserved. However, this hasn't stopped the fans from wanting David Prowse to be a part of their Star Wars celebrations. Number 1. Fans still embraced him. The truth of the matter is, David Prowse is an icon spanning decades, an icon who never got the acclaim he deserved. Yes, we all know who Darth Vader is, but who was the man behind the mask? Well, finally, in later years, fans started to embrace David Prowse more and more, and see him as the man who gave the physical form to one of cinema's most embraced characters of all time. Suddenly, a great public demand had arrived, in which people wanted more of David Prowse, where in later years of his life, he would frequently attend conventions and meet those whose lives he had affected face to face. The fans saw something more magical about David Prowse other than being Darth Vader. They saw his true humanity. A kind gentleman who never pushed his fans away but embraced them. Someone who was warm and welcoming, and someone who was wise, who had a story to tell. But above all, someone who gave joy to the hearts of so many people around the world. Not bad for someone who is considered the greatest movie villain of all time, from a galaxy far, far away. David Prowse led a truly inspirational life, and it is sad that he has now passed away. But at least, in recent years, he was increasingly recognised for his contributions to cinema. So in conclusion, we can say that David Prowse's life was a life well lived, and one that was lived to its fullest. He may have been an evil ruler who wanted to capture the universe, but in real life he captured all our hearts. Rest in peace, David Prowse. See ya.